If you have any questions, she's going to be monitoring the questions as well. Have a big announcement today. I think you'll all be excited. Today is Lindsay's birthday. Oh. So be sure to say happy birthday. When you're signing in, let us know where you're from. Wish Lindsay happy birthday.
Thank you.
And she's going to have a great day. If you haven't had a chance, check Facebook page. We already started her day off with a bang. So Literally. Make sure you... She's now a year older in addition to being a year older. We always have fun on birthdays, so we did have a good one today. So anyone joining it? We're starting a little bit early because we have a busy day today. We have a lot on the calendar, and I thought I would jump in first thing this morning, and excited to share this kind of a different technique. For decorative painters, this is going to be something you just have to have a totally different mindset on, but I think you're going to love it.
So Teresa has joined us.
Hi, Teresa.
It's a little quiet. There are people in here. It's quiet. It's early, though.
It is early, especially if you're on the West Coast.
Yes.
But make sure you watch the replay. If you get a chance, go to our YouTube channel, Create with Chris, Covered Distributing. There's a lot of videos on there, a lot of techniques, a lot of fun. And if you sign up, you'll get notice so you won't miss out on future videos. So make sure you do that. So are we ready to just get started?
Sure.
Okay, let's jump to it. Okay, this is frosted window panes, and I did this right before Christmas, I believe. And we're going to focus on how to create this soft kind of muted background. It's a real simple technique, but again, for decorative painters, if you're used to being real precise and detailed, this is just a totally different mindset. So you just have to relax. I always say, let your hair down, have fun with the brushes, and let it just, it's like almost magically evolving. I am using, this is a cute little, it has a stand on it. I don't know if it's kind of hard to show this way, but it stands up, has a little snowman, but we're just going to focus on the tree area for this. And I didn't bring the entire set, but it is a little window and there's a frame on it. It does sit in a base. So the only thing, if you are painting this exact piece, you need to just be aware if you get too much paint on these little tabby slots, they're precisely lasered to fit into the base. So if it's a little tight, just lightly sand and it will slip right in. I did paint this coral shell. This is not a Christmas color in my mind. And I wanted to use something that was going to be bright because the whole piece is a little bit, would you say vintage, Lindsay?
Yeah.
So it kind of leans more that way. It's a real fine line between being really dark or just getting that vintage. I still wanted to create that glow like there was lights on. And I don't know about you, but when I have my Christmas tree on, I usually don't have my other lights on. I like this to be the star of the room. So I wanted the light to be coming from the Christmas tree. To create this, I am using, these are two of my filberts. These are my fantastic filberts. And if you notice, they're a little bit longer in length. And I had these designed specifically because in my mind, if you can create a longer, smoother stroke, you will also have more continuity in your piece. And if you struggle with getting the brush loaded just perfectly and you do a couple strokes and then you have to reload it again, this kind of narrows down or shortens the amount of times that you have to reload your brush. So in my mind, it makes sense if your brush is longer and you can get more work out of one load, you're going to reload less and you're going to have more continuity. I'm going to start with the number 10, and I'm using Desert Cactus. And it's kind of funny because of the colors on this. And actually, when I created this piece, I wasn't sure it was going to turn out. I do that a lot. you get tired. I'm going to slip this under here. It's kind of moving around on me. You get tired of using the same colors and the same techniques. So I think it's fun to kind of just take a tangent and do something totally different. I have dampened my brush. It's not wet. I can run it over my fingers and I can see, but it's not drippy wet. I'm going to load my brush. I have a lot of bristles, so I'm going to load it pretty well. I've just kind of sketched on where the tree is and where the ornaments are. I'm going to stay on the chisel edge of my brush and just start pulling out some strokes. And I'm just going to kind of go around those ornaments. I don't want to do a whole lot. Just kind of create that look of the tree. And I've done about half of it before I have to reload. I'm not doing super long strokes. If you want a longer tree branches, you could either go to a bigger brush or do longer strokes, but I'm just going to kind of just pop these in here. And I sort of flare out toward the side and kind of, this is the middle of the tree, and kind of start to go the other direction. Okay. And I let that end just kind of flip out. Not real fussy about that. Doesn't that look beautiful, Lindsay?
Looks like I could do it.
When I was painting this, I was like, oh, I'm not sure. So then I decided, well, I don't care. If it turns out fine, if it doesn't, that's okay too. I was just in a playful mood. Loading now with plantation pine. I did not clean my brush. Just adding that in there. And I'm going to start adding just a little more stroke work. This starts to make more of a tree color.
I think what throws it off is the background color.
Yeah. Okay, so
it'll make sense though.
Yeah, with this peachy background, it just kind of creates a glow behind it. And after it's all finished, it looks like the tree kind of has lights in it, which it does. But that peach, if you've ever taken any classes from Robert Warren, he always underlays a nice peachy background. So this is an ode to Robert. And I'm just letting this be really loose. Not stroking anywhere in particular, just trying to get that look of a tree. That'll look like a tree, Lindsay.
It does.
Okay. I'm just going to swish it clean a little bit. Not too particular about that. Picking up a little bit of black green. And that's still a good color, right, Lindsay?
Yep, as far as I know.
Okay.
As of today, it is.
So I need to add a little bit of darkness in this tree. And with the black green, it's such a strong color. I'm just going to be a little more careful. I think I'll give this a quick dry. The reason I'm drying it is I don't want it to just blend. When it blends with these lighter colors, it loses that intensity. And this is where you get to go, ooh. I'm still not filling it in solid. Just adding some more of that little fun strokes. Don't let it become too much the same. So, along the edges, let it be kind of random. Trees are not perfect unless you have an artificial one, then
even artificial ones aren't perfect.
Well, they kind of don't look real natural.
Yeah, because it's up to you to make the branches look perfect.
Okay, that's good enough for now. Kind of not real good looking. Going with yellow ochre. And the reason I go with yellow ochre, this is kind of a misunderstood color or lesser used of all the yellow colors, but it is probably the most opaque out of all the yellows. They tend to be able to lean a little bit toward transparency. or translucency, but this yellow ochre is a little bit stronger. It has more of I don't know, a white pigment in it.
Is that DA08? Because I think that's discontinued.
Is it?
I think so, yeah.
Okay.
True ochre would work.
True
too,
ochre
right?
would
Yeah.
be your next closest color.
Yeah.
I'll have to pull that off my shelf. And I'm going to put in ornaments. And when you hang an ornament on the tree, you don't just see the round ornament. Sometimes they're tucked in behind the branches. Sometimes there's, depending on where you're standing, they're kind of overlapped with other ornaments. So I'm just going to start laying them in. And you can see how careful I am with these. Just want to get that look of a roundness in there. Remember, this is impressionistic. If I have a little bit of the tree that kind of comes through the yellow, that's okay, because think about reflections. They can be different sizes. Not all my ornaments are the same. Boom, I've got all the ornaments in there. That was hard, right?
The fact that they're round and you did I mean, they literally are pretty good circles.
That's because of the shape of the filbert. If you go with a round brush to do a rounded shape, it just almost always comes out pretty close to that. I did kind of trace on the round shapes just for reference, but I think if you kind of hone in on it, you can see that I don't just quite always stick to that. Now I want some red ornaments, so take a little bit of watermelon slice. And these are not quite dry on me. I definitely don't want to put watermelon slice over the green because it's just not a opaque enough color that it's going to really look that great. It's going to pick up too much of that darkness under there. Kind of picking and choosing where I want them. I don't want them every other one. Just want to make sure I have some nice color in there. Maybe, I don't know.
The one at the top?
This one?
Yeah.
Okay. See, they're sort of, it always looks better if they're not perfect. One coat of yellow, one coat of watermelon slice. We're going for that muted kind of soft, impressionistic. And I found out the less you struggle with perfection, the easier it is to achieve that. Just gonna take this number 10 filbert. What's nice about these filberts, you can get a chisel. It has a nice chisel, so you can get a straight line, you can get a flat, like a oval, or you can just kind of create these little highlight shapes. And kind of tuck it up a little bit more. When you think about a Christmas tree, the lights kind of flicker from all different directions. Now, as that dries, it's going to be a little more muted, which is fine because that's kind of sort of what we're going for here. Let me give that a little quick dry. We've got a lot of open areas, so I'm just going to bump down to a smaller filbert. This is the number 8. We did the rest with the number 10. Just going to double load, a little bit of black green, a little bit of desert cactus. I'm going to need just a touch more of the black green. And I'm just going to kind of stroke it on my palette just to make sure. I just don't want a big blob on the end of my brush. And I'm just going to kind of fill in these little areas. And once it starts to blend out, just reload. And I can pull that over these ornaments just a little bit. And I'll just reload and keep re-adding. This is a little more fussy than what we were doing before. Because I'm just a little more concerned about the open areas. And again, if I have a little bit of that peachy poking through, it's just going to look like some of that light is shining through. This makes a pretty color for a double load. And I can always go back and add more and fuss around with it. Kind of keep that darker toward the outer edge. Just going to play around with it a little bit. And I think it's pretty light in here, so I'm just going to go back with some of that black green. And here it's a little bit. Down here I'm not too worried about it because that's going to be where the frame covers it up. But I do see some areas in here that so we sort of have a very loose tree. I want to add some garland on it, and I'm going to use the number 8. I'm just going to touch the tip of it, and I have a nice chisel edge, and I just want to touch. Don't press too hard, you'll get kind of a U shape. Just kind of adds a little bit of, kind of breaks it up a touch. We'll have the window frame up there. Going into white now, want to highlight the top edge just a little bit. It's going to sparkle. My garland is sparkly. And it kind of helps break it up a bit. Brighten some of those bulbs up. So we have a tree in there, very soft. And just going to pick up a touch of, guess what? Aqua Sky. And this will just bring in a little bit of color. And I think I'll go with I wanted my number 5 right to go around. Okay, I'll go with the number 2. A little bit of aqua blue. This is where you can get some, it looks like a little more detail. But look what that does. Really brightens it up. Makes it look a little bit more impressionistic, maybe? I'm not sure. Just a few, you don't need much, but look what a difference. That makes a huge difference, doesn't it? I mean, all of a sudden it's just very kind of elegant. Now, when I did this window, I wasn't sure what to do with the background, and I knew I wanted some little snowflakes in the window, but if I put snowflakes on this, it was just too bright and light. So I tried a lot of different colors, and I ended up going with antique maroon. Be careful, antique maroon is a very strong, deep, kind of a dusky color. Using my half-inch awesome angle. And I'm just going to use a lot of water. And I'm just floating that on. There's going to be lightness coming from the tree, kind of tapping it around. I want to show a lot of movement going up to the tree. And because this color is the color it is, I can even kind of go into the tree a little bit and it's going to be okay. And it just gives that movement. Let that dry. If I want to deepen it down, layers, a little bit of paint makes a big, big difference. But look how rich that has become. And I should have blended this out just a little more because I used such a light layer of paint. It's very easy, even after you sort of kind of dry it, to go in and move it around. I wanted a candle in here, so I'm just adding a little bit of that yellow ochre to kind of brighten this area up for the candle glow.
I was just going to say your grandson just popped in.
Oh, hi, Levi. Yeah, it won't be long. The kids will be back to school. They're doing the countdown. It's hard to believe.
Who's counting down, the parents or the kids?
Yes. Just darken that down a little bit. Just a lot of water, a little bit of paint makes a big difference. Mostly the color is on the toe. Just want to get that moody kind of background. If it looks a little messy and you're starting to worry about it, take a mop and soften it. That reduces some of those strokes if that's becoming too strong. But the more you work with it, as it starts to dry, you're going to start lifting it. For this, it's looking, see how that just kind of gives that glow here at the bottom and darkens it toward the top left. When it's super dry, now I'm going to add the frosted windows. And this is such a fun technique because it can be used to create distance. It can be used to create that look of frosted window panes. It can also be used just to kind of push something quietly in the background. You can use this to create soft, like gauzy curtains or lace. It's just a great way to mute something down without covering it up. Now the thing is, on this, I want to create that look of the frost pretty much around each one of these window panes. If you don't have one of these white chalk pencils, they are amazing. Number one, it's a really nice line. For those of you that kind of forget to remove your tracing lines, this is a blessing on one hand because it will disappear with water. On the other hand, if you paint over it, it's going to disappear. You're going to say, where did my line go? So I'm just going to trace this around, and I'm not worried about that line because it's going to disappear, so I can paint or draw right over all that paint. Now, with these chalk line, when you trace around your piece, you're going to be not behind it. So I know when I put my frost in there, I need to go past that line to make sure that I don't have it any areas that it doesn't bump up into. So I am just going to take, this is a number 10 diverse dry brush. If you've not played around with these yet, oh my goodness, they are really amazing. Loaded it with white paint and I wipe it off. I want to make sure that I don't have a lot of paint on my brush, so I can start to add that on there. Need just maybe a teeny bit more. Always want to check it. I know that my frost is going to be just a little heavier in the bottom. Once I get a hang of how strong the paint is on the brush, I can get just a little more aggressive. I have a very light touch, and I can just really start to put that frost in there. Want it heavier around the edges. I'm just going to blend it and kind of soften that center area just a little bit. And this takes a little bit of time, but you can see how it starts to tone it down. If I place this back over it, can you see what a difference that makes between here and here? It just really softens it down. Do down here. Just kind of circling around the outer edge. Just a little bit of a rotation. And then I can bring it in to soften it. Are there any questions, Lindsay?
No. Terry did ask if the chalk in the pencil was refillable, and it is. There is a pack of refills available for that particular chalk pencil.
And you can tell I use mine a lot because it's a hot mess. But love it, absolutely love it. And I use this if I want to sketch something like over here, if I'm not sure if these snowflakes are going to show up, I can kind of sketch those in for placement. And then when I add them, it's really super easy to let that just kind of disappear. I'll put my candle down here. So I do use this pencil a lot too. It's just a great aid in creating a nice finished product. And if you're a visual person, this is perfect because watch this. See the snowflakes? They're gone. That's how easy it is. Oh my goodness. So you can't live without this white pencil. It's just really a wonderful asset to have when you're trying to figure out how to lay things out. And will it look good here? You can use this pencil, mark your spot, and then go back in and know exactly where you want to place it. So this is kind of how to create that frosted glass in a nutshell. If you want to use a stencil brush, and this is my number 4 spectacular stencil, I loaded it. Again, I don't have much on my brush, and I can just go ahead and do that soft walk around the outer edge. Mute it down. Okay, I need just a touch more paint. And just softly. You just want that hint of mist or frost. Dark around the outer edges. And when I put that on there, how soft and misty that becomes. super easy technique. I love the way this turned out. I think it gives it a totally different look as opposed to that perfectly painted Christmas tree. I thought with this particular piece, it would be too busy. I kind of wanted the snowman and the outside to be the focal point, and then just that idea of inside Christmas festivities to kind of become the focal point of the whole design. So if you are playing around with this and have any questions, please let me know. I always check the comments. If you have any suggestions or ideas, let me know. I love to hear from you guys. Do we have anything, Lindsay?
No.
It is early in the morning, and I know a lot of the West Coast, like I said, aren't on yet. But when you watch it, if you come up with some questions, I do have a couple things. Last Tuesday, you want to pop it back down here, Lindsay? This is the piece I did last Tuesday, and this is an online video. Super excited about this. I used chalk paint to create this whole design. If you're not familiar with chalk paint, it's very opaque, very workable, but everybody uses it to paint furniture. And I wasn't sure if I could use it for creative purposes. So I decided to try to create something just a little bit fun. And I really had a great time with this. I love how strong the colors are. I love how workable they are. I really didn't notice a whole big difference between the acrylic and the chalk paint as far as it's just maybe a little heavier bodied, but to work with it and move it around and play with it, it was just absolutely wonderful. And for those of you that like the design but don't want to jump into the chalk paint, I did in the pattern list all of the Americana substitutes. So don't let that deter you from doing this fun design. The little lace at the bottom, that's always a fun element to add. And then next week on the video, I'm going to be I jumped into fall, and I thought this turned out really nice. It took me about 2 hours to paint. And the video I'm doing next week is going to be in real time. So normally I kind of speed it up and I take out a lot of the dry time and the second base coat time so the videos don't become kind of long and cumbersome. But let me know what you think on this next week because it is real time. I've had some of you kind of make comments about, oh, it goes so fast, which you can always stop, catch up, paint a little bit and catch up and then turn it back on. But I thought I would do this in real time just for a change of pace. Okay. We do have a beach.
Sun, Sand, and Savings.
Sun, Sand, and Savings sale at Covered Distributing this week. So don't forget to go online and check that out at www.cdwood.com. Anything else, Lindsay? Wednesday is the semi-pro painting with Jen and Lindsay. That's always fun, so make sure you stop in and check that out. And then on Thursdays, they dive into stenciling with CD stencils. So make sure you don't miss out on that either. Did I say that?
The first time you didn't say it right.
Well, okay.
She hasn't had a Pepsi yet.
No, my caffeine hasn't kicked in yet. So, all righty. Well, thank you for joining us today. Again, if you have any questions or comments, I'd love to hear from you. Thank you for for joining us on previous videos. We love to see you. Anything else, Lindsay? Okay, well, we look forward to our next painting adventure together. And remember, a little bit of paint makes a big difference. Bye-bye.